Hey everybody. Today we're going to talk about Curious George, and he's going to help the earth by planting a tree. So let's read. It's by Margaret and Harries. Curious George plants a tree. George was a good little monkey and always very curious. Today was a good day to be curious. The man with the yellow hat was taking George to the Science Museum. The museum was one of George's favorite places. There was always something to do and new and interesting to learn. Oh, there was a special exhibit. George wanted to know what it was, but today he had to make his favorite museum stops: the rocket room, the mirror maze, and the butterfly space. Finally, George and his friends made it to the special exhibits room. The sign read, "How can you take care of our planet?" George learned many things: how our people, animals, plants, air, and water on the planet make up the environment, how trees help keep the air clean, and how people can help protect the environment from pollution and too much trash. George had a great time and didn't get to any of his normal trouble. And he and his friends were leaving. They bumped into the museum director. Dr. Lee looked happy to see him. "How is my best monkey visitor?" she asked. "I'm glad I ran into you. I wanted to tell you that we're having a Green Day rally tomorrow at the park." George was curious. Whatever a rally was, he was sure that a park was a good place to do it. "We're going to plant a truckload of trees and collect used paper for recycling. We didn't have much time to advertise, but we need lots of volunteers. How would you like to help out?" There was nothing that George liked better than to help. "What a great idea! We'll be there." That night, George was ready to do his part for the recycling drive. He gathered every newspaper in the house. He stacked old mail on top of the papers. He piled empty cardboard boxes and food cartons on top of that. What more could he add? George scratched his head, then he took several books off his bedroom shelf. Just as George was about to add them to the recycling pile, someone lifted the books out of his hands. "Not so fast, George. These books are made of paper, all right, but you can read and enjoy them many, many times. And when you're done, you can donate them to other kids or the library. Reusing is just as important as recycling." The next morning, George and his friends set out for the park with their wagon of neatly stacked papers. Suddenly, the man stopped and said, "Oh, I forgot my gloves. Go on without me, George. I'll be there soon." As George walked down the street, he spotted several newspapers lying on the ground in front of neighbors' stoops. George had an idea. He had lots of room in his wagon. He could recycle all the newspapers. Oh, goodness. But I don't know if the people have read the newspaper yet. And the newspaper were not the only thing he could recycle. He noticed a stack of paper cups sitting on a table under a tree. Into the wagon they went. He's taken their lemonade cups, and a pile of magazines from the magazine stand, and a heap of papers someone left on the sidewalk. I think he's trying to be nice, but I'm not sure he's doing the right thing. George was happy with his great load. At the park, he found Dr. Lee standing under a big banner. "Good morning, George. I'm so glad you came and brought all your friends. We need lots of help to get the job done." George turned around, and he was surprised to see so many faces. But they did not look very helpful. They looked angry. The man with the yellow hat arrived just in time. He explained to the neighbors that George was gathering paper for a good cause. They were no longer mad, and they even stayed to help plant the trees. So all the neighbors came because George kept stealing all their stuff. That's why they were mad. It was just a misunderstanding. "George, you saved our Green Day," Dr. Lee said with gratitude. "These trees will provide fresher air, and each summer we'll have more shade, which means we'll use less water and keep the grass clean." Thank you. Being a monkey, George had known all along how important the trees are. So they planted lots of trees to help. And especially since they're talking about recycling, I thought this was a good book.